Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, leaders of the BRICS nations, Your Excellencies, leaders from across Africa, Your Excellencies, leaders of the Global South, all other dignitaries. I'm here representing President Akinwumi Adesina, President of the African Development Bank Group, who unfortunately could not attend in person because of extenuating circumstances. So I will therefore read the following statement on his behalf. The theme, BRICS in Africa, Partnership for Mutually Accelerated Growth, Sustainable Development, and Inclusive Multilateralism, could not be more appropriate. In a world that is moving and changing at hyperspeed, growth and development require the proverbial village working in tandem. So within this context, the African Development Bank, in conjunction with several partners, is innovatively addressing Africa's critical development challenges, well articulated in the African Union's Agenda 2063, and also being prioritized within what we call the African Development Bank's strategic high five priorities, which are: one, to light up and empower Africa; to feed Africa; to industrialize Africa, which we have been talking about today significantly; to integrate Africa; and also to improve the quality of life for the people of Africa. To date, more than 350 million Africans have been impacted positively from the Agenda 2063 being implemented through the strategic high five priorities of the African Development Bank. As a continent, we've had to contend with a simultaneous triple C's. That is COVID, conflict, and climate change. Let me talk a little more about climate change. While Africa has contributed the least to greenhouse gas emissions, as the UN Secretary General mentioned, it bears an inordinate burden and amount of devastation from the adverse impacts of ever-increasing climate change. This is one of the reasons that the African Development Bank is scaling up its support in Africa for both climate adaptation and mitigation. For example, we are implementing the $20 billion Desert to Power program that would deliver 10 gigawatts of solar power to over 250 million people across the Sahel. It was also good to hear the president of the new development bank talk about Grand Inga, but there's also Inga 3. Africa has huge hydro potential. Even in Zambia and Zimbabwe, we also have the Batoka projects. These are projects in which the African Development Bank has been leading in the project preparation, and we're very open to partnership with the new development bank, and also we welcome a Global South solution to implementing these projects, in an expeditious manner. But public sector alone is not going to solve the development challenges in Africa. Private sector has a strong role. This is why in 2018, the African Development Bank founded an innovative and highly acclaimed Africa Investment Forum, which to date has mobilized investment interest in excess of $142 billion. We would like to thank His Excellency President Ramaphosa for graciously chairing and hosting the first two forums. I take this opportunity to invite all of you to this year's forum in Morocco on November 8th to 10th. We continue to provide leadership as the African Union's anchor institution on the goal of integrating Africa. We have built several thousands of kilometers of cross-border roads and electricity transmission lines, and are also investing in railways and waterways. Through the African Stock Exchanges Linkages Project, we have connected 8 African stock exchanges with an aggregated market capitalization of $1.3 billion from Johannesburg to Cairo, and we have also supported the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat in its establishment, and also to operationalize the CFTA. For decades, I've remained adamant: no bird can fly with one wing. Likewise, nations and institutions. To address inequitable growth head-on, our affirmative finance action for women in Africa, popularly called AFAWA, has deployed over $1.1 billion of financing to women-owned businesses. And we have also started rolling out the innovative youth entrepreneurship investment banks to provide opportunities for youth entrepreneurs, given the youth democratic and demographic dividend that we have in Africa. As we scale up our development support efforts, it's important that reforms of the global financial architecture are also implemented, which we've heard from the UN Secretary General and also the President of the new Development Bank. In this regard, the African Development Bank has provided leadership on rechanneling IMF special drawing rights to qualified regional development finance institutions, given our capacity to leverage these instruments 3 to 4 times for the benefit of our regional member countries and private sector. In conclusion, in Africa, the baobab tree is one of the largest trees. To encircle it, it doesn't take one pair of hands, it takes many hands joined together. So as I end, I would like to emphasize the power of partnerships, and we look forward to such with a new development bank. Thank you, and God bless.